NFT, or non-fungible token, has to be one of the hottest terms in the art world right now, primarily because of the stupendous, or is that stupid, price paid recently for a pretty lackluster work of art by a digital artist called Beeble. But what are NFTs, how do they work, and should you start using them to buy artworks? Well, to save you the Googling, I've been finding out as much as I can about these devilish digital disruptors to see if they really are the next big thing in art, or by contrast, one of the biggest art heists of the 21st century. As always, I'd welcome opinions, corrections, and any insights you have in the comments, so share away and let me know what you think. So what is an NFT? A non-fungible token exists as a very unsexy unit of data stored in a secure digital ledger called the blockchain, which I'll come to later. Let's start with the fungible bit. Something like a $2 coin is fungible. Exchange it for another $2 coin and you own something of the same, like for like value. But non-fungible means something is inherently unique and not equally interchangeable. Say a small painting, for example. You can't really swap it for an identical painting because there's only one original. The token part is, in art terms, your certificate of authenticity, a unique digital certificate of ownership, if you will. So why are NFTs making headlines all of a sudden? Because they're a relatively new way to own something, whether that's a tweet, a digital pic, an animation, a JPEG, or a terrible work of art worth millions. But what if your NFT artwork was stolen and somebody was proudly displaying it on their TV or phone? Well, here's where things get really weird. Your NFT artwork can be replicated 1 billion times as the exact same artwork. So it could in time become as popular as the Mona Lisa, but without the actual crowds. But only you have the NFT, the certificate of authenticity and ownership. And that means your artwork can be sold, traded, and exchanged. The digital bit is important because digital files can be infinitely replicated. There's really no such thing as an original. As soon as you show the world your creation, that's it. But now NFTs allow us to own that specific digital asset. Is the art any good? So how do you know the digital masterpiece you've just bought has any actual value? Well, you don't really. As any gallerist or indeed decent artist will tell you, 99% of NFT artworks at the moment are pretty crappy actually. But there are definitely some fabulous works out there. New Zealand's very own Jess Johnson or Simon Denny, for example, are doing really cool things in this space. And yes, there is sometimes really, really big money involved. The one that made headlines at Christie's last month was Mike Winkelmann's sale of his NFT representing his digital artwork Every Day is the First 5,000 Days for 69.4 million US bucks, the equivalent to 96.5 million New Zealand dollars or 89 million Australian, just enough to buy an unrenovated studio in Auckland. Every Days wasn't really that interesting as an artwork in itself, being composed of about 5,000 images, which the so-called artist posted online each day publicly for 5 years, and notwithstanding that it was also bought by a friend of the artist to prove a point. But it did make artists, collectors and galleries all sit up and pay attention overnight. But let's get one thing crystal clear. NFTs are not about art. For good or evil, they're simply a new way to buy something that you can own, quite literally a digital file. And that's what you get when capitalism meets techie geeks and financial bankers. Are NFTs good for the planet? Well, there's been a lot of hand-wringing about this one and a lot of the usual shrill hysteria in the online forums about how the authentication process for NFTs takes enough power to, well, power a small country. These, incidentally, are the same people who drive to the local supermarket 5 minutes away and blast the aircon all summer. The process of authenticating and protecting an NFT is done via a blockchain. And this, dear viewer, is where things get a bit technical for 2 minutes. So if you're like me and only found out what the snowflake button on the toaster was for last week, grab a cuppa now. The authentication process does take up a bit of energy, and here's why. A blockchain is a digital record of transactions. The name comes from its structure, in which individual records, called blocks, are linked together in a single list called a chain. Blockchains, then, are used for recording transactions made with cryptocurrencies, currencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum, essentially the way you're going to pay for your NFT at this stage. And there's plenty of simple ways of doing that with a Google search. Each transaction on a blockchain is validated by multiple powerful computers that form a verified peer-to-peer network. So nobody has the master password, if you like, and all of these computers work together anonymously to ensure each transaction is valid before it's added to the blockchain. Similarly, because it's decentralized, this means a single system or user cannot add or remove blocks in the chain without everyone else's permission, and that does take a fair bit of energy. The payoff is, it also means it's incredibly hard to alter past transactions in a blockchain, since all the subsequent blocks would need to be altered first, so it's pretty much secure. All of this takes up a bit of electricity, but there's already a movement to utilize a different kind of authentication process, which is far less power hungry. And as technology changes, I'm sure this will only improve. Okay, back to that art bit, and one of the most important questions. Are NFTs good for artists? My take on this is a firm yes, because the artist can set a commission every time the NFT is traded or unsold. And that's one of my favorite things about them. The artist still retains the copyright and reproduction rights, just like with a physical artwork. Now, naturally, you don't need a gallery to display NFTs. You can literally do it in the palm of your hand with a mobile device. And you don't need a secondary market auction house either, because it's a digital market with digital selling platforms using a digital currency. So the winners really are the collectors and the artists, especially digital natives and millennials, for whom I think NFTs will offer endless possibilities. Quality issues aside, it's really exciting for a whole new generation of artists and collectors. So, with all of this dramatic, fast-paced change, will traditional galleries like mine become a thing of the past? Well, not quite. In fact, there will be a place for them forever, just as there will be for NFTs. And therein lies the big philosophical and practical conundrum of NFTs. Because a Monet painting of water lilies made with a combination of linseed oil and pigment on linen is a physical thing you can hang on the wall, behind your TV while impressing your Netflix guests. A digital artwork has to be fumbled with. It needs a screen, a power source, a phone. I mean, who wants to look at their art collection on a phone? And somewhere safe for them to be stored forever. But what you miss is scale and mark making, the skill, the craft, the nuance, the passion, the mistakes, the tension, the evidence of human touch, all the wonderful things about being in the physical presence of an artwork. Of course, all of this will change rapidly over the next few years as technology progresses and we find new ways of displaying and interacting with digital art. Like all new things, 98% of the NFT market will fail. But it's here forever and it will be really, really exciting. Until then, subscribe to the gallery mailing list, follow us on Instagram, shoot me a message with your details, and I'll send you through some really interesting links to free videos and articles so you can learn more. See you in the gallery soon.